Black girls have the box.
It's time for Who Watch, Time and Relative Blackness in Space.
Hi everyone, it's Nicole and Delia coming to you live from the Time Vortex. Today we're discussing episode 5 of Doctor Who Flux, Survivors of the Flux. In this episode, the Doctor meets her maker, sorta.
Yeah, I am so excited to talk about this episode because that's exactly what happens. And I have feelings and thoughts, but like about everything, not just that. So I think we just got to jump right into it because it's time.
We gotta. It's a lot, but I think I'm focused. We're gonna get it done.
It's not gonna be as chaotic as some weeks, I don't think, because I know the points that I need to hit on, and the rest is fine. Yeah. Is one of those episodes. So to start, we open. Okay, well, we all remember where we left off, which was that like extremely very visceral image of the Doctor as an angel, and that's exactly how we open up this episode. We see not only the Doctor as an angel, but with like thousands of angels. And the visual is just, my note was just, what a visual, because the money, the process of making, like, I know, you're just like duplicating a bunch of angels, but I'm just, again, watch Doctor Who from seasons past, like this budget.
Right. Or their finesse of whatever budget they have.
Right.
Like, making really good choices with like whether they're doing practical or doing CG. Whatever they are doing it really nicely. Like, I'm really just enjoying watching it visually, which is like, I don't know, I guess I don't think about it really when I watch Doctor Who, but this season I'm like, oh, that is so pretty. That looks so nice. That looks so cool. Like, the fact that it stands out and not like, ooh, is a positive.
Yeah, I hope it holds up over time, because some of these Doctor Who effects, they do not be holding up in a way that is
they are very to the time they were made.
Yeah, to the point where they're comical. So I'm hoping this holds up, because this is definitely going to be an episode I rewatch. My only thing is, so we see the Doctor. She like kind of like goes back to being the Doctor, like the angel dust wears off or whatever. And she's walking around and like these angels aren't moving, and I just have questions, like, and again, maybe once again I'm overthinking the angels, but like, why aren't they moving in this dimension? Like, nobody's perceiving them, so why are they all just standing there? I don't understand.
And that's like, this also brings me to that question again, like, is it because we are, as the audience, perceiving them? Like, right. Again, if that is it, that's cool, but it's like, you got to be consistent with it. But I also like, maybe it's more so like a choice they are making, because again, they have now made a point to be like, we are just very petty and we like to do things because we are bored and we just think it's funny. So I'm at the point now, it's like, I feel like a lot of angel like things that are like, that doesn't make sense. It's like, actually they are just making choices because they're bored, or they don't care, because that's what angels are now. They are like the petty space angels. Like, they just like to mess with people and do whatever feels like it'll be the most dramatic or the most upsetting to other people.
And it isn't upsetting, because they are speaking to her like telepathically, I guess. So like, that's happening, and they are being exactly that, petty. That's the best word, because they're just like, oh, we put you in this form because it amuses us. And it's like, dang, Coldemore. Like,
that's what I now realize, like, that is the MO of the angel. Like, if any question comes to you, like, that don't make sense, it breaks the rules. Like, what are the rules? Because I'm actually at the point thinking, like, they don't have rules. They just have things they like to do culturally because they find it amusing. Or
culturally, like the culture of the angels.
Right. It's like taboo, but it's like, technically we can do it. We just don't, because it's not our thing. But that's what I'm starting to think about the angels, which is I think that's one of those good headcanons because it doesn't break anything, but then it also like allows for you to it allows for me to enjoy them much more because I'm like, it makes sense with this context that I've created for myself.
Yeah, they're like, I guess they're just petty royalty. Like they're just that petty. So I accept it. I'll take on that headcanon. And so that's what we see for now. Then we finally get to see what ended up happening to Professor Eustachius, Yaz, and Dan. Our questions get answered. They're in 1904 Mexico, which means the village did get put back. Because otherwise they wouldn't have been able to leave and go to Mexico. We knew this from the preview, but if you didn't see that, we now know they've been there for 3 years. I will say, I don't know about you, but as soon as it said 1904 Mexico, I was like, oh, I'm worried. I'm concerned. I have concerns. Not the BBC deciding to put this in Mexico. Like, what problematic, like, story are we going to get? Like, I was a bit, and they're breaking into tombs. I got even more cringe, but it's the bare minimum. But like they're stealing artifacts we find out later, to try and predict when the end of the world is going to be. Basically, they're just looking out for like any big anomalies that are being predicted in time. So to do that, they're stealing like ancient like things. But Yaz acknowledges it. She's like, because Eustachius, love that man, but he is still a white British man, is like, we're discovering things. This is for science and history and whatever. And Yaz is like, actually, it's theft. We're gonna bring it back. So bare minimum, but I did appreciate it a little.
No, same. And I'm also like, it is literally theft in the sense that like, if this was not discovered at this time, like y'all could be breaking history. So like, you have to actually think about that, Mr. Jericho. Like, let's get it together. But I did love in that like that slapstick, just like neither one of them knowing how physics works and like not knowing the pulley system. Like she
that was funny.
Very casually because she actually set her situation up correctly, and they are like supposed to counterbalance each other, and they are just. I thought that was really funny because it's like, again, whatever they do, but not, like they are not physicists. Okay, they don't know. You know, like that he's a professor of the mind. Like he knows thoughts and feelings, maybe, but like math.
Oh no, got it.
They ain't got it. They don't know that PIMDAS. They don't know that.
That PIMDAS. Yeah, they do not. Which is pretty funny. And it just happened in the background. It wasn't really like this main point, but I did think that was funny. Especially because we're like, what's the vibes? They've been here for 3 years. But like, it shows us really quickly that they're doing all right, all things considered. I will say, like, they're just... not even just the Mexico. We go to several places, but they really, and I know this is partly budget, like we're not going to build out whole real big sets or anything, but anytime Doctor Who goes to places that aren't in America, in England, for the most part, it's like clearly some stage they're filming on, it doesn't look like where they're at. Like, I'm like, you said it's Mexico, but it literally could have been any tomb, literally anywhere. So like, okay. I really, really long, and I know maybe our listeners from the UK disagree. I know this is like a hot button issue. It's like, it's a British show, but like the idea that the Doctor traveled all of space and time, loves the Earth, but we only ever see detail of England is just. And I know we've gotten better as the years have gone on. Like, we've got Demons of the Punjab, we've been places, but like, I just would like more effort when we do go to those places. But I digress. Right. I know in this particular episode we have many locations to go to, so that was not going to happen. Agreed. So yeah, more Doctor CGI. The budget is still out here when we move back, because like when they like take her out of this dimension, she like goes back into being an angel, but then she's taken out of that dimension into some sort of space station thing. We don't really know, but there's Ood. I love Ood. Like, Ood are some of my favorite creatures in Doctor Who for several reasons, but one of them is that they're funky looking, but they look exactly like they should. They're not too detailed like the Spuds, but they're not like overly cartoonish. Like they hit that real good middle ground that I think works for Doctor Who when it comes to like alien life forms.
No, I agree, because if they were like too detailed, it would be upsetting to watch. Like it would push the envelope on like, are we trying to make this horror? Like, are we trying to be scary? Because I feel like they are. I mean, they definitely, especially when you think back to when they're introduced, it's like they can go that way really easily. Yes. So like, I'm glad they're not like juicy or anything. I don't know. I said it because like now I'm mad, but like I'm glad that's not the thing. Even though like now I visualize it, so it's there. But like, I'm glad in the show we don't have to sit with it.
Right. No, I agree. And I just like them as characters, like when we do see them like as more like people characters, not just like a group of Ood. So I was happy there's an Ood. And the old lady is back. We don't know her name at this point, but it is Tecteun, I think is how it's pronounced. But that's not revealed yet. We're just like, ooh, that lady, who is she? That's it. Then we go to 1904 Constantinople. So at this point, I'm like, it made sense that she wasn't in the tomb, but I'm like, oh, so Peggy's fine then, I guess? We're just, Peggy's good. I don't know. She's back in.
We did say that she had a good grip, a good handle on the situation. Like, I think they knew, like, she's gonna be fine, so let's leave her. Like, I honestly support it because she gave me the type of vibe, like, you'll be fine. I'm sure you'll be good.
I mean, we didn't need yet another character in this storyline, so I get it from a writing perspective, but I was like, we ain't gonna even acknowledge there was a whole child here before?
Like a child, not even like a teenager. Like, not even like a age where you're like, yeah, this is, at this time, people could survive by themselves. It was like
she was fully like
10
or something,
said, but like a child.
Fully a child who is now an orphan. Like, she was an orphan before, but like doesn't even have an aunt and uncle as bad as they were, so like, I guess okay. But yeah, they're going to Constantinople to get, I guess, whatever artifact that they got from Mexico. They're getting it like interpreted to see like what kind of things are being prophesized in it. Things go awry. Somebody's trying to kill them, and I gotta say, first and foremost, Yaz is fine. Okay, in these bits, I'm like, yes, girl. Like, show them what it is. Tell them what it is. Them period outfits are really working for her. Love that. We just gotta like recognize a real one. Anytime it comes up, and she is so capable. Like, there was dynamite because again, somebody's trying to kill him, and she like takes care of the situation. Like, I would have been out of there. I'm like, I don't know what y'all are doing, but my legs are running. She like puts stuff on top of the dynamite to try and like what is not muffle, but like, you know, deaden the explosion a little bit. And yes,
she's on it. Like, no, I was saying like she is super. Hey, like you said, the outfits and like just the ease and when she moves in that. I think that's my favorite thing. It's not even that like she looks good because she does. It's that like I am that girl. Like I am
the confidence that oozes out of you.
There's so much, and this is where I get torn between like, do I want realism or do I? And I'm like, no, I want fantasy. I want like this to not be like. I actually want Yaz to not think about the logistics of being who she is in these places at this time. I kind of love that, like, it's probably a conversation or a thought that she's having, like, oh, you know, how am I going to be perceived in this place? But the fact that she's moving like a white man, and I love it. She's like, I can go wherever I want to go. I can do whatever I want to do because I'm me. And so I love every scene of them as a group, and she's so clearly the leader and so clearly
the leader.
So yeah, I love that she was like, oh, not a bomb. Like, it's so calm. Like, she's chilling. Like, okay.
She's like, get her out of here. The person who was like doing the decoding or whatever, and like she took care of the dynamite. I'm like, girl, okay,
right? Like, it was just very confident and like so at ease. Like, yeah, like nervous because it's a bomb, but it's like not really. Like, I'm like, okay, I like. It's a good look. It's a really good look.
I think it's the thing is, it's one thing when we see these companions have confidence in space, but it's usually because they like know they have the Doctor on their side, or they're just like kind of becoming like the Doctor, and so it's like this false sense of security because it's all fantastical. Like, I could understand how they get there, but I don't actually believe that they're capable of dealing with whatever comes at them in space. But seeing it on Earth gives it context. And I'm like, no, Yaz is about that life. Like, clearly.
Exactly. That's literally what I was thinking. I was just like, it's very much like Yaz is the Doctor of their dynamic. But also not just because like, oh, I'm trying to be like the Doctor, but like I'm actually handling the situation and I'm just moving with confidence, and I'm just like prepared for anything. And that's what I like when they become the doctor in that way, like they mimic the doctor's bravado, but actually don't have the like skills or like whatever to back it up. That gets irritating fast. And I'm not naming companions roles, but like it gets irritating fast. But
exactly,
when it's like companions, when you see like Martha literally is just like minding her business at all times and is always like just manages to fix the problem, and it's like, damn, I really would try to just go get dinner, and I just saved the planet right quick. So wow. And Yaz is kind of on that same level where like I am just this kind of person naturally. I am a competent person, and like being with the doctor gave me opportunity to really find more of that in myself. But that's who I am, and they have not. I mean, they have given so many chances in this season to do that, and I like that. And it's like the only time they don't do it is when like she talks to the doctor randomly. But yeah, I'm loving all the scenes, like in every episode so far, but especially in this episode of just Yaz really being that character that like they've alluded to, and we got glimpses of before, but like this is like us really being able to see that in like the full display without it being overshadowed by like the doctor coming and do some like crazy save the day situation. It's like, no, this is literally a completely self-managed situation. So yeah, yes, girl.
So then we see them on a ship, because they had to get out of Constantinople, and they're still trying to get God. Like some waiter comes and is like, Dan's got to hide because they only had money for 2 tickets, and I just was like, he's a stowaway. It's like the writers know, like
I loved it.
He's a stowaway to the plot too.
He
like
is a bonus Jonas. Like he literally is. Like every time I think like this is gonna be the episode, or like this is gonna be the moment where Dan is useful, and I don't mean like you can be here on this show and not be necessarily useful. But my point to the story is like usually characters have a purpose, and Dan, I mean he's a sweet guy, but like does not. And so I was like, oh, this is gonna be the episode, and the way that moment just solidified, like, no, this is not that episode.
Nah, he's a stowaway. Sorry, Sam.
Like, it won't be funny. This one.
It was funny. So, like, if you're gonna do it, like, that's the way to do it. I got a little bit of a chuckle there. But yeah, they get attacked by this like fake. I keep calling him waiter, but like he comes to their door.
But is he serving them waiter. Tea? They definitely said waiter in the show, so I go with because I was like, I don't know what we call this. Profession.
Yeah, he's like more like a bill. I don't know. So anyway, he comes to serve them tea, quote unquote, but like he's really there to kill him. So they like try and attack him to get information because they're like, somebody knows who we are and why we're here and is clearly trying to come after us. We need answers, but he had a poison capsule in his tooth and killed himself. So like
ooh,
yikes,
like
oops. And I was like, oh, so it's like serious out here,
right?
Okay.
That's what I was like, oh, wait a minute, like I don't know, for some reason it's weird because like dangerous things happen, violence happens on this show, but it's like weird how that like I was like, wait, this is like we going there like this, they doing like war tactics, like not the cyanide pill, like not
right.
I literally was like, oh, okay. But yeah, so and then the person who tried to attack them had a cute little tattoo.
Yeah, I was like, oh, so he's a Death Eater. Okay, so it's a Voldemort. He's at large.
So he's at large. Okay, yeah. So I was like, oh, it's a tattoo of a snake, aka a serpent. And so, of course, I was like, oh, he out here on Earth messing with people. I mean, like,
sure enough, we get to 1958 England, and who's here? Big homie, the Grand Serpent. His what was Vinder calling him? Your supremacy or something like that?
Supremacy, which is like, no. It's a no for me, Doc.
It's a no for me. And he shows up in 1958, too. Like, I know England, I know they were going through their own racial issues in 1958, but we were, like, civil rights movement fresh. Like, and right. I'm like, his name is Supremacy. I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure he's racist. It may not matter to the story. I'm just saying.
I am committed to this. Like, this person is racist in a distinct way that I think is like, and I think he knows, like, it's kind of like the Angels. Like, I think he's like, oh yes, this is absolutely given racism, and I love that for me. Like, I think it's a part of the shtick. Like, I was like, I want to make sure you understand that I'm racist. Like, this is how I would like to move through the world.
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm like, I think. But yeah, he's just there being hella sus. Like, he has a conversation. To be honest, like that part.
Yeah, they're like
not interesting
skeet
but...
shooting, or I don't know if he's actually hunting. There are no birds in the sky, so this one that they used that budget on them angels and forgot to teach you a bird or something. And it's just okay. So here's the thing. I believe that is. I mean, we know from context, like it's the person who eventually found Unit, but I wasn't sure because I honestly forgot everything about Unit except for like the basic details. But I can't remember if the Brigadier
honestly,
from Classic was the founder or was just like one of the like head honchos. So like, if this is supposed to be the Brigadier. See, I could have Googled this because I know for a fact people have been talking about it. But I said I'm not gonna Google it. I'm a freestyle. So if it's the Brigadier, that's an interesting little thing. It definitely messes with like stuff because that would then mess with like canon. However, if it's not, then it's just like a fun little. It's just like a fun little like, oh, this is maybe a Unit thing, but I don't know. Like the end, which is jumping ahead, but the end kind of contextualizes a question that I had. So I was like, I think it's fine, but I'll talk about it when we get there.
Ooh, I'm interested to see what it is. So then we'll move along to try and get there faster. We go back to the ship. Okay. This is where I lose my mind. I'm sorry. I can't. I can even say it like normal. You just already have to get the energy straight up. Okay, so we go back to the ship. Let me lay the scene for you. Yaz is by herself in the little cabin. She's sitting on the bed. She's got a little like triangle looking thing. Apparently it's a hologram. Another hologram. And she plays it, and it's the doctor, because the doctor's the doctor, always has other contingency plans, knew something was probably going to go wrong, so she kind of snuck this into Yaz's pocket, and like, so Yaz is just listening to it and kind of talking back and forth with the hologram, which where have we seen that before? I cannot remember. Seems familiar. And they're talking back and forth a little bit as hologram and person watching the hologram, and then okay, I can't. The doctor says, like, and it's the way she says it. She says that she misses Yaz. And Yaz says she does too, and just the sadness and the, dare I say the longing.
Yeah.
In that scene.
No, it's I was like, no, like, see, because now I was like, you know what, expectations that's stupid. You shouldn't have those. And I was like, lock it away, put it away, because like I didn't want to have my heart broken. But see, this is the type of stuff that we were talking about. Like,
exactly.
If y'all don't commit to what the energy y'all put in this, I'm swinging on you. Period. Because that was is the parallel between like the Belle and Vendor.
Okay. Literally,
the way they little romance, right? Like the way they romance is playing out
immediately means it had to be purposeful.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, y'all are doing this energy of like communicating with your significant other, because like Dan didn't get a holocron or whatever. I said holocron. Where is it? I don't. You know what? That's probably from Star Wars. Y'all let that happen. But like, I'm just saying, like it was. And then, like, the extra time, like, I'm recording this message in a height of us in a dangerous situation. And I'm like, you know what? I miss you. Like, I got time to think about the fact that if you're listening to this, we're separated. And I know how that makes me feel.
Exactly.
Come on. Y'all ain't gonna play with me. Y'all are not about to
play in my face.
You
do
can't
not play in my face.
You can't. Like, I honestly, after last, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just let this.
Same.
I have to let this ship just pull into the docks, and we're just gonna have to let it sit here because y'all are playing too much. Y'all, this motherfucker. I'm sorry, this this ship is sailing,
and they listen to it on a ship. So I'm just saying, the ship is sailing. The ship is literally sailing.
The ship is literally sailing. So
you can't tell me. I was like you, Nick. I was really trying. I had gone on and off, like, I mean, I'd always, like, I'm, like, I ride or die, Thasmin, but I really just did not think, I feel like they weren't committing enough, so I was like, you know what, let me just put this on the shelf, like, I know, we all know, but I don't think they're gonna do it, and I just really can't, I don't want to deal with that again, like, I'm not trying to, like, deal with yet another, like, queer baiting situation. I mean, I would have to deal with it, but, let me not get my hopes up. But this was so on the nose. Like, I just don't know. And granted, like, I haven't really, like, looked at Twitter. I've seen, like, our own internal community, what people have been saying. But, like, I I don't know how other people feel, but I just feel like there's no other way you can take this.
I just feel like if you have to come out and say that it wasn't that, then it's like, well, y'all need to hire new directors. Y'all need to, because so many small, delicate little choices were made to make it read how it read. Like, we've seen the dynamics of, like, companions and the doctor being separated and these kind of messages, like, and it not feel romantic or feel like that. So, to me, these were specific choices. And especially with the parallel between, like, Vendor and Bale, like, it's a very distinct thing that was done there. So again, if y'all do not commit to this, I will be on JetBlue over to y'all's little neighborhood, and we gonna have a good old fashioned fisticuffs, because y'all now have gotten me back into. I'm invested, right? Like, I'm back into, like, okay, this is happening. So,
I mean, just think of it. If you're sitting here listening to us and thinking we're being, I don't know, silly, or just not into that, like, you just don't think that's what it is. Can you imagine the doctor saying that same thing like she said it to Ryan?
Right.
Funnily enough, I don't think you can. So it can't be just platonic. Like, I can't. So that was literally, I remember I had to pause and I had to take a moment and like breathe, because I was like, okay. So
I was like, pause. I was like reading the captions, like, that say that, right? Like, make sure, did I just hallucinate for a moment? Like, I checked the captions. I hit the little 10-second to go back just to double check. Like, wait, let me make sure I heard what I heard. Let me make sure I see
like
what
that
I see.
saw their faces the way that I saw them.
Let me make sure that I didn't just project all my desires onto this moment.
It was there. It
happened. It happened.
Yeah, Dan comes in after that and, like, comforts Yaz, which further makes me think, like, the way Yaz is acting and Dan is comforting her, I'm like, this is deeper than, oh, we're just lost. Oh, our friend is got, like,
you see it.
So, I think that's all we have to say on that. I mean, obviously, like, I could go on forever and ever, but, like, y'all know what it is. And if you don't know what it is, now you know what it is.
Now you know.
Okay. Then we move on from that scene, which I would have loved to stay in that scene forever, but we did move on. Back to who I was calling in my notes up to this point, the old lady, but it's Tech Taeun. And I thought it was very interesting that this, maybe I'm the only one that noticed this, but I felt like the space station thing that they're in looked like a really big, like, TARDIS control console. Like, maybe it's just me, but that's the vibes that I was getting. And we suddenly are getting all this exposition and backstory. I was like, oh, we're just going in. All right. Which makes sense. It is the 5th episode out of 6, but we were just in it all of a sudden. And I was like, okay. After having so many questions, but basically the division began on Gallifrey. Basically what I took away is they were just interfering as colonizers do. So
pretty much.
That's
my
not
note.
Surprising.
Yeah, my note is very specific, and a lot of people will get it, but some people won't. But I was like, Division is basically the universe B613. They moving in silence like the G and lasagna. They out here. They manipulating stuff. They making things happen, but nobody is aware of it. And people who are aware of it get got. That's what happened with B613. If you don't know what that is, it's from Scandal. And they handle If you know about B613, you already in the ground. That's what it is. And the Division is literally that. It's giving the same energy. I was like, oh, like that just, I see. So if y'all know, y'all know. But if y'all don't know, it's basically what Delia is saying. They just out here manipulating situations like colonizers do, because B613 is like a shady government organization. So the parallels are there. If you know, you know, though. And I was just like, oh, okay. So she must be Rowan, which again, very specific. But
yeah, I was like, okay, so we're really going to be out here just... And it's interesting because if you think about it, like, we've had several calls to this line, but there's a time where one of the doctors says that, like, but, like, it happens a lot where people are like, but you look human. And it's like, or do you look Time Lord? And it's like, so it is colonizer bullshit. Like,
No, that's like so true because I like when you hear it in context, you're like, oh yeah, that's a funny joke, but it's also like
right.
Who like you take from the cultures you colonize, and then they have to assimilate with what you doing, and it's one of those situations where it's like, wait a minute, y'all. Everything that's good that y'all got from everybody else. That's what I'm getting from Gallifrey.
I mean, even think of like the Doctor as a timeless child. Like they got regeneration and stuff because of the Doctor. Like they just be taken.
Like honestly, I'm gonna just say I think I'm gonna need a good about 30 minutes. Like we're gonna have to do another episode so I can go off about Tecteyu because the way she got me messed up, she got me so
maybe we should like. Because maybe after, okay, maybe that's a thing. If y'all want to see it or hear it, like maybe we can put it on Patreon. I don't know, but we can do like after the like post season, just like wrap up. Like we'll do the regular last episode, but like just final like lore thoughts and just random thoughts afterward. That can be like a shorter, ranty type episode.
It'll just be where we can just let the chopper spray because Miss Ma'am. Oh,
yeah,
she was disrespectful from every moment. Like she never let up on the disrespect. It was giving. Like, I just was like, how are you having a conversation with the person and not swinging on them? And that's how you know that like the Doctor is like an active pacifist in that moment. Because I would have been like, I guess I'm gonna have to go ahead and just choke you out because you are saying things that are very upsetting for me. I can't. Oh no, everything. But yeah, I did clock that it looked like a TARDIS. I was thinking like even before she kind of explained what it was, I was like, this kind of looks like maybe an arc of some sort. Like they out here doing freedom. And I guess technically it's kind of the vibe and energy, like whatever. But yeah, I definitely peeped. I'm like, yeah, see, Gallifreyans, y'all stick with y'all design aesthetic. I will say that. Y'all don't deviate too much.
They do not. And we also find out that they're not anywhere in the universe, which is why the Doctor couldn't find the division. They are in between universes, which that's a lot.
It's one of those things where it's like, obviously, there's an in-between because there are multiples, but it's also like, okay. It's one of those things where like, I choose to take this, what you said to me at face value for my own ability to continue enjoying this, right? Like, I don't actually want to involve myself in the machinations because then I'm gonna just like talk myself out of enjoying it because I'm like, wait a minute. And so no, like with the angels, that's fine. It's fun because the angels are out here and they funny.
Yeah, like, and ultimately they are dope and like it works. Like even though we question a lot of stuff, ultimately it works for the narrative purposes they're designed for, and that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Right, but the universe, I'm like, no, I don't want to break it. I don't want to go through in my mind all the way to break it because it might actually make it hard to enjoy for me. So I was like, no, they're in the middle of the universe where people be at sometimes. It is definitely fun.
But not even just the breaking it. I mean, that also, but like the possibilities and like potential explanations that introduce, like it's just too much. Like I'm like, I can't. I'm gonna have to like literally shut it down because
it's that too. But I also like, and I guess I am also a petty person, or I'm like a person who like is like when I know there are a contingent of people who are not on board with the storyline, a timeless child storyline, and the fact that this season is very much like we're going to commit to that as the like the strong force of this, and it's like, oh, so the part of me that's like, this is a lot that's happening, but it's also like the other part of me is like, but yes, because now there is like, it's so much harder to retract or go back at this point in this story, because I was like at the point like, oh, maybe the criticism, and because it was 50-50, I feel like, but like the criticism, I thought, oh, people didn't like it, we can pull back, or we can say the master lot, or whatever the situation is. And I love that this episode specifically, but this season in general was like, nah, fam, we dead ass. That is the timeless child. Like, Dr. The timeless child.
She even says at one point, like, I'm the chosen one, or like, I'm the one, or something. I'm like, oh, so she even knows she's like,
it's like
a chosen one narrative. leaning in.
So I love that. I love that. That's why I'm like, yeah, there are questions I have, but I like that there are questions that like that I want to explore. I hate when it's a question that I know they're not going to explore at all in any kind of substantial way, because that irks me, because I'm like, dang, I'm just going to have to live with this. But this feels like something they're opening up the opportunity to explore. They might not, but I love that it's being kind of like, we're going to talk about that, because we have definitely been to other universes. I mean, that's, you know, the whole 10-2 situation or whatever.
Exactly.
But it's not the same as, like, you know, really seeing the whole, like, the journey, you know, like, I don't know, it's different. So that part is, it's like, oh, that's a lot happening, and I don't want to do, like, I'm not going to do the mathematics, but I'm going to let it slide, because I actually want to know where it goes.
Yeah, I will say before moving on, like, I personally like the Timeless Child storyline. Like, I like the potential of it. I would have, if you had told me, like, what if it goes this place and described a place of where we're at, I probably would have said I wouldn't have liked that. But now that we're here, I personally respect, like, I can now understand, like, it was either go all in or have a half-ass story, but a half-ass story is not going to be as good. So I respect that they're going all in, because I do think it's making for a better story. Like, you may not like it because it's, like, too predictable, or, like, it makes the Doctor a chosen one, or centers the Doctor in the storyline, which, you know, I also have some of those same critiques, but I think this story is engaging. It's interesting. You can't deny they're not putting everything into it. And so I respect it.
Yeah.
So then we go to 2021 Earth. I'm trying to keep y'all up to date with where we are, but it is a lot, and that's how it played. It was just like, oh, we just go everywhere and any time, basically. But Kevin Fuzzerline is basically gonna find Belle. Like, you already know what it is, because he's like, we're missing a Lumpari ship or whatever, and you know Belle has that ship, so he's like putting out a call or whatever. Moving on from that, you see Belle surprise us where, like, she is approaching a very, like, questionable looking area. We will come back. And she doesn't want to go because it's looking real questionable. And she's just like, but no, I swore an oath to help those in distress, which, you know, I just love me a character like that. I'm sorry, I do.
I love it, but I'm also like, but are you on duty? Like, you can take a day off, but I'm like, I love when it's intrinsic in the person to, like, I would feel bad if I left and something happened. Like, oh,
exactly.
I am the opposite. I'd be like, dang.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's where I like characters like that, because that is not me.
I think the same thing. It's like not self-preservation, and it's not even an act of self-preservation. It's just like instinctively, I just am like, oh, this ain't.
I don't think it would occur to me. I'd be like, ooh, okay, so we're gonna make a Yui.
Like, the means turn, okay.
That's just me. So I respect when there's characters that aren't like that. I think that's really cool. She does say that because we know Kevin Fuzzerline is trying to get the ship back, and she's like, don't you dare hyperjack me. And I'm like, hyperjack is such a great word. I just feel like it's something I would come up with, like, if I was writing sci-fi, which I don't, probably for that reason, but I thought it was fun. So I said we would come back to that little planet-looking situation. It's really unclear. It's not really a planet, but we go back to that after she gets hyperjacked and doesn't make it, because Vinder is there. So they were this close to meeting. And so he's there. There's, like, people basically in trances around objects. And it turns out the yassified Flugs are there. They are kind of, I mean, we don't know what they're doing quite yet. He's just like, okay, let me just kind of sneak off. But then, swarm with these speeches, man. He's like, objects, talking to the people in a trance, you are space and we are time. And, like, murks them all. And they're like, do you feel that time energy?
Right. And, like, he's like, y'all are our power source and our playthings. And I was like, I clocked that, because I'm like, this is gonna be useful. I think that's gonna be pertinent information in the very near future. But I was just like, the confidence you have to let me know that I am your power source. Like, I just feel like you giving away a lot. And that's how you know.
Because Vinder absolutely heard that.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, you are so confident about the situation that you have every right to be, because you literally have, like, I have to assume, a good several billion life forces in your presence. If these situations are what I think they are. So, you know, I was just like, you are real confident for giving us that little speech, because in my mind, that's definitely information that can be used against you in some way. But they was like, well,
I felt this was gonna
absorb.
I felt like it was gonna come up because he loves him a speech, and I gotta say, as far as villain speeches go, he is serving exactly what he should. But I'm like, okay, so this eventually is gonna be a problem, and so I think you're right. Like, this may be where it's like, oh, maybe you're saying a little too much. So yeah, we see all of them get marked R.I.P. But at this point, like, so many people are dying. It's like, well, that is what it is. We go back to the division. We go back to the division. And yeah, so they're working multiverses. Like, they even say multiverse. I'm like, okay, so I really think the writers are like, we gonna have multiple universes that we gonna be writing. And I'm like, I don't think y'all got the sauce for that, but y'all do you.
You know what? See, my hope and thought is like that gives them an opportunity to, like, they can make like more shows in the universe, and then some
that would be cool.
Yeah, like, and then maybe have some that are not tricked, because I think like, even though Doctor Who is, again, like, global and like international, it still feels very British in every sense. And they still, like you say, like, why are we, like, the Doctor can go literally anywhere and keep landing in like this 100-mile radius. It seems unlikely to me. Like, like, why is this happening? So I do love the idea of, like, them being able to, you know, like The Walking Dead got like 18,000 shows, something like that. If we could do that in the universe, I would love that. So I was like, I like the idea of a multiverse, because that thing gives us a place to explore and actually, like, they can have a doctor that's like from Japan. You know what I mean? Because they don't have
to. Is this how we get Ruth? This is not exactly how I want Ruth, but I will take what I can get.
That's what I'm saying. Like, any way that I can get them to be, you know, make some bold choices and actually not feel restricted because they have like 70. I do not know what year we are at with this show, but I know 70 is not high enough. Or is it 60?
No, I think it's more like 60, but
yeah, I'm like 70 is too high, but 60 felt low. No, that's right, because I don't know. Hella decades of lore that they are still dealing with. Whereas, like, if you start where you start at the premise of, like, this is Doctor Who, but it's a different universe, that means any rules could be changed at that particular moment. And especially if the only thing that is connecting those two universes is whatever species the Doctor is regenerating. That means we can have the Doctor that doesn't have to be the Doctor, though. Like, as a character, it could be a new person entirely, but they could keep that one rule, like the regeneration rule. Like, I'm just saying, I'm with the multiverse is what I've been waiting for up in Doctor Who. So we can go ahead and cross that little chasm.
I'd be down with different shows. If they tried to do it within the story of Doctor Who, though, I'm like, I don't think y'all got the sauce for that. Y'all should just go ahead and call it. I'm sorry. I appreciate the creativity, but at the end of the day, the Doctor Who is Doctor Who.
Right.
That's not a knock. You gotta know the space. But space anyway. But this is where Tae-Taeun is really she is gone off, like, not even like in a good way, like Swarm, like she is. I'm like, I was ready to throw hands.
I really, like, it's so wild because, like, in the earlier scene with her, she's like the person you once called mother, and it's like, that was already the way it was said was already very much like this was a one-sided thing. Like, I didn't see you as my child that I raised.
Giving it was Mother Gothel,
right? It was already that, and then this part, like it is so dehumanizing, or whatever the version of that is for a Time Lord. It is so stripping the Doctor of so much, like, oh, it's like such a teardown, and I'm like, damn.
She calls the Doctor a virus. She's like, the universe was perfect until a virus got out, and then it was like the virus was you. I'm like, like, I really I don't even think I yelped. I was just like,
I really was just like, yeah, like, I was like, mouth the gate, like, oh, like, how dare, like, it was so cruel because
it was so
again, it's juxtaposed against the comment of being like, I'm the reason you are here, which is, it's just, I can't do it. Like, I'm telling you, Tae-Taeun, like our good friend Brenna says from the Queer Archive, when I see Tae-Taeun, it's on site. It's on site. It's hands. Because
absolutely
wasted literally none of that screen time to be nice. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and just talk. I'm gonna just come after you for this whole time. Don't worry about me. I got it. It was like everything swarmed us, but it hurt. Like, it was very upsetting because I'm like, damn, the doctor really just came here minding their business, and you you just gonna tear them down in every way. Like, it was wild.
It was truly wild. And like, it makes you wonder, like, how did it, like, because clearly the doctor she even says that much, like, the doctor figured out what was up and, like, was very, like, against some of the stuff they were doing morally. Of course, we're just getting, like, vague hints. And so, but I'm like, how did the doctor even get wrapped up in this in the first place if you was like this the whole time? Like,
that's my thing. I think she said something like morality was always your weakness. It's like, so, I love the idea that, like, I guess nature versus nurture in this situation, like, the doctor has always had a moral or kind of like a stance of, you know, that leans toward the moral good. So I like that as like a consistent character trait and something that would have went through the doctor's lives, even the lives that the doctor doesn't remember. I like that that's something that was so powerful and intrinsic to the character that even without however many lives worth of memories, I'm still intrinsically that person. So I love that lore building or that fact of like the doctor having always been this way and then not being, once we deleted your memories, you started being like a nice person that goes around face, but you used to be a-hole. It's like, I love that. It was like, we had to delete your memories because you stay being morally good and we trying to be out here murking planets. Like, what are you doing? Like, you slowing down progress. So I love that as the through line of the doctor's character that is like, I think it just kind of, it's one of those things like every doctor is very distinctive. Like, they are different, but it's like, what are those little things? That's one of those things that always carries
core
over.
traits, right?
Yes, and I love that. So that idea, like, but I'm just like texting, please, like, somebody. I mean, hey, spoiler alert, she get what she get, but
she does get what she gets.
But in that moment, I was just like, please lay hands. If you must, I will turn my head.
Yeah, I did appreciate that for the people at home who are hating the storyline, and for me who even has like some critiques, they did have the question where the doctor, because like she's explaining like the flux was because of you, blah 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 blah, and the doctor's like, but why me? I am not that important. Like, the doctor says that essentially, not word for word, but something to that effect, which I appreciated because like that is my whole thing. I'm like, y'all, like. Yeah. The universe is the universe. I get that the show is about Doctor Who, but the show is also about, the doctor going through places and being an observer because it's not all about them. So I did appreciate the doctor at least asking the question, and the answer I thought was very interesting. It's not necessarily that the doctor themselves is so important, but they instill hope wherever they go and change people and change history and stuff like that. And that in and of itself is power. So I can get down with that answer, sort of. I'm still not crazy about a chosen one narrative, personally, right. But if that's the explanation, I think that's pretty solid and pretty in line with the doctor's character.
Right, and like, it's one of those things where I say if they, depending on how they do the reveal with the division, it might be a really strong story. Like, I actually like it being that, like, because we knew, like, oh, they are somehow related to the division, but we don't have any information. I do like the idea in this, the way it's done here, being like, I am specifically, because Tech Yoon is, pardon my French, she's a bitch. She is very much like, she is very much like behaving out of, maybe not emotion in the way that she thinks of emotion, but it's like, I'm making choices specifically because I am mad or upset at you. Like, it's like, I'm not just ruining this universe because, we messed up. It's like, you love this universe so much. Right. It's like, it is very targeted. And it's very, so the division being in the parallel again to B613, I cannot stress enough. Like, I was like, it's very much like, yes, I represent whatever this organization, but I also am a person who has my own will, and I'm going to utilize the resources I now have as the head of this organization to destroy your life because I don't like you or whatever the situation is. So I was like, it just depends on how they do it. To me, this is good because it is still, the division being everywhere, all that is great, but the fact that Tech Tae-yoon is like the person that is making these choices, it then contextualizes why it's around the doctor. Because when you think about the story of how the doctor came to be, the doctor is like the catalyst for so much progress for the culture that, like, Tech Yoon feels like a certain ownership over that. Like, you know, I'm the reason. I mean, what she says though, like, I'm the reason that you're here. I'm the reason this. But it's also, when you think about it as Gallifrey as a whole, or Time Lords as a whole, species, race, culture. I don't even know what they are qualified. You know what they are technically called, right? I don't even know if they're like, are you a subspecies? Are you? What are y'all? I don't know. But it's like the Doctor is the catalyst for that. So like the Doctor is like, in a way, the most powerful person in that, within that framework, because of you, all of this exists. But like you cannot, like, you don't have control over that power. Like, you are the source of the power, but you don't have control over that power. And I want to remind you of that. Mm-hmm. And by destroying the things that you love, just because you're going around saving planets, don't mean I can't. You know, it's just very much like hoarding that, or not hoarding, lording that over the Doctor. Mm-hmm. Like, again, diminishing, like tearing down. But like, ultimately, like, when you think about it, like from a zoomed out point of view, I'm like, the Doctor is the only reason y'all out here in these streets like this. So it makes sense to me that it's about the Doctor, because technically it's like a cycle. Like, kind of the Doctor begets what ends up being the Division in a way, and then now the Division has to, like, full circle get rid of the Doctor, because, you know, that's really the only threat to them when you think about it. Like, it's like, I brought you in this world, I can take you out kind of energy. I don't know. It's like, I have a lot of thoughts. Yes, that is the exact but yeah, like, it's like I have a lot of thoughts about it, but because I genuinely do not like the Doctor being the center of the universe. But I like this because it actually is, like, it is, like they are, because the Division is coming for this whole universe, but it's not. I don't know, explain it. It's weird, but yeah, I like how
it's about Tecteun's, like, pettiness, essentially.
Yes, it's still personal. It's still very, that's what it is. It's still a personal story that is told with these really huge stakes, as opposed to being like literally every single person in the universe is invested in the Doctor, whatever the situation is. Because that's what I think the problem is. It's like the Doctor in space, and literally every single, the Daleks, the Spuds, the Cyber people are all actively worried about the Doctor. That's what the problem is. Oh my gosh. I can't. Mm-hmm. I can't believe they keep playing with me.
I can't believe they keep bringing them back. I'm like, the Daleks are right there, and I know the complaint is,
and I know, and I hate them, and that's how.
Please,
right?
Stop with
like, I hate them, but if I have to choose, I literally, at the list, at the bottom of that list is these damn potatoes. I'm tired of it. But yeah, the Doctor being center of the universe is always problematic, but I love or I'm liking what they're doing.
I'm liking where it's going. So then we go back to 1967 England. So we see the Grand Serpent or whatever is, like, still around. Unit is being formed. We see the TARDIS is still there. We're like, still doing all right. So that's nice to see the TARDIS, because let us not forget we left it in 1901. And I don't really care about what happens. Basically, he, like, exposes himself and is like, ooh, I'm an alien, and kills somebody. But I just freaking, okay. I literally wrote, like, what in the Orochimaru? Like, literally, F off. I hate Orochimaru. He is disgusting, and this is exactly what it was giving. Like, had a snake creature slithering out a throat. I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
Keep it.
I thought it was a cool, because I'm like, oh, that's a pretty cool, like, way to, like, get the situation handled. No, and this is when I started to be concerned about myself, because I was like, that leaves no traces. That's a real good murder weapon. Like, and I'm like, why are you like this? But yeah, so I was like, oh, Grand Serpent, it's very literal. So that was one of my thoughts. I'm like, okay, so you about that kind of energy. But I did think it was like a cool, like, talking about that budget. I do like that, I thought it looked cool. I thought it was like a really fun little effect, even though I was like, a lot of people are not gonna be with this particular moment, but I was just like, oh, that's okay. Not a whole snake.
I think I would have been like, ooh, that's wild, but like the fact that it really called me back to Orochimaru in the way I have so much hate in my heart for that character, and he's just disgusting. So now I'm associating with you, Orochimaru, and you're disgusting.
But I mean, so this man is clearly given that kind of like that ire is deserved. So go forth.
So right, exactly. Then we go back to the doctor. I just put the master was right, like, because the question was right, like, well, maybe the master didn't know the whole truth. Right. What were the blah blah blah? No, completely right. Tecteun did find the doctor. We find out that the doctor was, as far as Tecteun is concerned, deposited by a wormhole, which as soon as she said that, was like, how do you know that? You just found her. And the doctor is quick with it. She's like, you don't know that. What if I was going into the wormhole? What if somebody was waiting on me? What if I was waiting for somebody else? Like, you just took me.
Like, it's literally kidnapping. Like, you are literally, abduction. This is an abduction situation. Like, it wasn't, you didn't see it open up and the baby pop out and you be like, oh my goodness, somebody threw this baby through the wormhole. Like, here's a child.
The child standing there. So I was like, but I was happy that the doctor was quick with it. It was like, no.
Yeah.
That is not what happened. What happened is you took a child who could have had people and could have been meant to be there. So that's something.
I do want to know, again, and I guess the master says how they got that information, but that just feels like a lot of information to be on somebody's hard drive in on Gallifrey, just like in the archives. I don't know. It's one of the things I'm like, maybe Tecteun was being deliberate about that information being disseminated in some way, and I like the idea of like, because the master has been manipulated in the past because they are so one-track minded a lot of times that like it's very easy to know what they're going to do, so you can then make choices to get what you need. Now, I want to take you like, oh yeah, this one, if he finds out, it's gonna be a problem for the doctor, and because she hates the doctor, or she's just a hater, like she was like, I'm gonna make sure that this is on this hard drive. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I was thinking about that. Like, how did the master get this information? It seems like, how do you keep this something of this magnitude a secret this long, and then the master just happens to like, no. So I just like the idea that Tecteun was being just so committed to pettiness and so committed to being like vicious and like nasty that she was like, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna plant this information so the master can find it, so that he can use it to torment the doctor, so the doctor can be in torment. Like, levels to the like torture, really, because like as soon as the doctor knew, it's literally been the only thing the doctor has been able to do this season. That's what we've been talking about, like criticism wise. Like, damn, the doctor is so single-minded focused on finding out this information. Now it's like, now you see how Tecteun feel about him. You're like, oh, that makes sense. Why that she would do something like that. So now I'm like, I think she must have gave that information to the master on purpose so that he could go out and torture the doctor. It was like a long game of like, oh, I'm about to make it hurt before I ruin his universe. Like, I really like the idea that everything that's happening now was like Tecteun's plan, at least the whole like run of like the whole Jodie run. I like the idea that Tecteun just been back here like, oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait to blow this universe up. I don't know. I just like that.
Yeah, I mean, considering just how like deeply petty she's been, like I could see it. And yeah, the master has been manipulated before, so like it would not be a surprise. So yeah, that's that. And I also just want to make a note that I miss the master.
Yes.
Specifically
Sasha,
Dewan. Yeah,
like, why are we being deprived of greatness? I don't know. Like, I get like it.
He fit in perfectly with the storyline, but whatever.
I know. You know what? Because that was the next spiral, and I was like, let me stop here. So I'm gonna keep it on. I'm gonna keep it cute. But noted.
I miss him. If Sasha, if you're listening, I miss you. Next, we go back to Vinder. Immediately got by the yassified Fooglies. And I just was like, Vinder, please. Like, he really is holding up this gun. I'm like, you already know what it is. Like,
I love
but
that.
I get it.
Like,
it's your security. I got it.
Right. Like, it's like, look, I gotta keep that thing on me, even if it ain't gonna really do nothing, but
I ain't gonna go out without trying. Yeah, but he doesn't get got exactly. Instead, they put him in a passenger, which I was like, not a passenger, but we get to see Diane. Ooh, I'm so excited. I don't know if people have seen, I won't spoil it, but like there have been stills and things from next week. So I'm very excited about where it's going. But Di's like, hi, I'm Di. Finally, someone with a gun. And I was like, oh, she about that life too.
That's
Let's
why
go.
I was like, finally someone with a gun. I said, oh my goodness, we got shooters everywhere. This season is full of them. And like, I love that so much. Like, I love that the doctor is not the person that'll pull the trigger, but I love that it's so many people that's like, don't shoot Fred.
Shooters. And like we did not mention it earlier, but like after Homeboy dies on the ship, Yaz is like, okay, so we're gonna put his body under the bed and then we're gonna throw it overboard like at night. And they're like, isn't this a bit morbid? And she's like, and what about it? Like,
we ain't got time to be like sensitive about this stuff. And also, like, Dan was like, I sleep under the bed, which again, sir. He like, I really gotta lay up under there with it. And I honestly was chuckling. I'm just like, it do be like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately for you, Dan.
Again, Yaz handling stuff and being, it's like, Jericho's like, you are like extremely good at it. Like, you are just
competency and shooters everywhere.
Right.
That is the season. That could be the tagline for the season. Which again, love to see it. Like, it kind of is giving, like, if you think of that, like, Russell T Davies arc where like the doctor is got and Martha's going around telling everybody to like think the doctor at the same time, like a certain time, and like I think this is doing what that did better. Like, the doctor is out of commission, but we can rely on all these competent people spread out throughout the story to get ish done. And that story didn't work so well, because the story was what that story was. I don't mind it, but like, it is a mess, I will admit.
No, but, it's definitely a mess. It's definitely got a mess.
It's definitely a mess.
Adjacent.
And it's only Martha, and like only Martha.
Right.
And
do like
that's it. And that's why it doesn't work. So this is better because it's competency and shooters everywhere.
Yep.
So we go to 1904 Nepal, and basically they're the 1904 group, Yaz, Professor Jericho, and Dan are looking for their like last hope because they need a guru. Like, they've exhausted all their other efforts of trying to figure out, are there any like anomalies as far as time that are coming up. So they find this guru, they climb this mountain, and I was so worried it was going to be so like stereotyping and like bad, but it was actually hilarious. As soon as they get up, Eustachius has this long speech about why they're here, who they are, and the guru's just like, took you long enough, and I've been watching you for days, and just, it's a really funny back and forth. He even says at some point, like, I don't get to tease people much up here because he's a hermit, and it's really funny.
I had the same thought. I was just like, please don't, this man. And as soon as he started talking, I was like, thank you. This is like exactly the energy. Like, exactly. He was so funny, and also like if you believe that I am who you think I am, why are you explaining this to me? Like,
right.
I was just like, but I thought it was funny. So I'm so glad they didn't do any extremely problematic stuff with that.
Thank goodness. So the message that they get is to fetch your dog. And, first, like, they're all confused. And I'm already like, yep, fetch your dog. Like, why have we not been fetching our dog? Let's fetch your dog. Let's go. But Yaz figures it out because, of course, Yaz figures it out. We got a whole professor on the squad, and it's Yaz. Granted, the professor doesn't know.
I don't think he would.
He doesn't know. But still, my point is, who figures it out? Yaz, period. So then we go to 1904 Great Wall of China, because supposedly you can see the Great Wall of China from space. So they basically paint a whole like sign, basically saying,
it's like a crop circle, but with like
paint. I'm not really sure how they do it, but but saying Pupper, Cavanisterline, I'm in 1904, come get Dan, fetch your dog, or fetch your human, which was pretty cute. And Cavanisterline is annoyed. He's like, I'm not a time traveler. What do you want me to do?
So I had a nitpick, because I'm like, is this, why can't he see this? Cause like,
I don't know.
So, cause first I was like, oh, it must still be there, but then I'm like, that's a hard thing to say. It's there. Like, all
people would have noticed.
I don't know. It's just like, I'm like, are we rewriting history? So this just exists now. Like, people are like, oh, this says fetch your dog, or is it like, does he have keywords? We're like, oh, and Google Images will pop up as soon as anybody uses my name on a crop circle. Like, I don't know. It was just, that was what I'm look like. It's funny, but I'm also like, this, y'all, I'll let y'all have a lot this episode. So I have to pick one thing.
No, I definitely was like, well, if you can't time travel, how are you seeing it? And then I was like, oh, I guess because it's still there. But I'm like, that seems like it wouldn't people would freak out. Like there would be tourists. It'd be a mystery. It'd be the Roswell of China. Like,
right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it's too much, but maybe it is. But the whole universe being collapsed, and it's like people don't have time to be worried about it. But it still would have been up until that's how time worked. Like that would have been their reality. Right. I don't know. So that was the only little nitpick I had. And I was like, I'm gonna let it happen. But I also think this is wild. Like y'all just definitely was like, you know what? They went us this far. They went us where everything else. We're just gonna throw this in there. So yeah.
So we're like, okay, hope must be on the way, is what I'm thinking at this point. But we'll get there. Then we go back to the division. Basically Tectoon had left the doctor with the Ood, and the doctor is like, please, Ood, just tell me what she's up to. Like, what is happening? You need to tell me. Convinces the Ood, because Ood are not about Tectoon's life.
Right.
And basically we figure out that the flux is compressing. Yeah, Ood are generally good dudes.
I would say morally, I would say neutral to good. I would say that they can probably be bad, but they are. I don't think they're instinct.
But even if they were bad, I'm like, deservedly so. When you think of their lore, I'm like, yeah, rise up. Go take back the means of production. Like, I'm not mad at it. Even if they are bad, quote unquote. Anyway, so the Ood does show the doctor what's going on. And we see the galaxy as it is now. The flux is compressing to Earth. And so the Earth is the apex of destruction, which is not good. No. And I was like, oh, so this is targeted. I see. It's not just shut down this universe. It's like, no, we're going to shut down this universe and you, Doctor, like, specifically.
That's what I mean. Like, it's such a very specific target attack. Like, oh, you love this planet. This is exactly where we're going to make the center of this destruction. So that's why I was like, okay, I'm on board, because this is absolutely like a very specific, like, plan put by this person to get vengeance or whatever they feel.
Vengeance. I'm like, okay.
I'm like, what happened? Like, I want to know what the doctor did. Like, and the way Tectoon is, I feel like it would be something like just undermined their authority or their, you know what I mean? Like, made them look dumb. I think that was it. I just made them look dumb one time, and people were like, "Oh, not the doctor making you look dumb." And you know, them Gallifreyans them Time Lords do not suffer none of that, because they got them egos.
They do not.
So I think that she was really just like, "Oh, you want to sit here and be cute? Okay,
you gonna play with this one? I put you on this this particular planet.
Okay, I brought you in this universe. Okay, I'll take you out." Yeah, it's a lot. It was. Yeah, I was like, dang, that's not even like the big, like, you know, like, you have to make that choice. It cannot be the best planet to compress against. Like, I just feel like it can't.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I am not that much into science like that, but I'm just like, I don't think that's how that works. Like, if you were to do a flux type event in the universe, I don't think it would end up, we get caught in the mess, obviously, but like, we are not the center of the universe. Like, quite literally, we are not the center of the universe. So, okay. Messy. The doctor's hearing whispers, is like kind of getting like flashes of visions. I keep calling it the haunted house, but she keeps having this vision of like this like boarded up, like kind of funky looking house in black and white. So I've been calling it the haunted house. So that's back. And she figures out where the whispers coming from, and guess what? It's a pocket watch, and we already know what that is.
Man.
So her memories, they right there for the taking. And I just want to say at this point, I would have taken it. I would not have paused. But this is the difference between me and the actual, like, movie, TV show, and book characters. Like, I'm not here to be part of the plot. I'm trying to get stuff done. So let's go. I'm taking this. Yoink.
But yeah, I was like, I literally in my notes on my daily, here they go. Because, remember, in all the previous episodes, as soon as the division is brought up, the doctor loses their damn mind. It's like, that is their blind spot.
I was like, it's over. thought.
So yeah, as soon as I was like, well, it's a goodbye for now. Like, I just was
goodbye,
like,
Earth.
the way that the doctor has been acting, I would not have been surprised if the doctor was like, I'm gonna go ahead and let me see what this is going on over here. Like, I knew they wasn't gonna do it because they would then have to deal with the doctor getting those memories. And like, it was like, what, 10 minutes left? I mean, like, it wasn't that much time.
I checked. Like, I was like, how much time do we got?
But I was just like, but like, because of how the doctor has been so, like, just as soon as the division is brought up, they just kind of don't have priorities anymore. Yeah. So, but I mean, I also was like, okay, they have enough information now where it's not nagging at them and it's not like a hole in their brain. Like, they understand now. So it's, you know, but I still was worried. I was like, well, that's all she wrote.
Here they
goodbye,
go.
universe. Right? I was like, goodbye, universe. And then, like, Tech Tae-yoon being like who she is, which is clearly a person who just like loves to torment the doctor. It's like, oh yeah, you get your little memories back. I'll even save your little boop boop, your little friends. Like, it was just playing on everything the doctor would want to say, but also get their memories. I was like, I don't know. By that second, third, when I'm like, I mean, if you let me keep her, and then I can get this pocket watch, I might let you destroy her. Like, I was really sitting there like, the doctor might mess around and make a bargain. I wasn't feeling. That's the thing about this season, which I think, and now that we have this context, I think it's good that they've made that a question of like, damn, maybe the doctor might do it. Because like previously, I wouldn't have thought, like, the doctor ain't gonna take that deal. But it was a moment where I was like, like, I really don't know. And so I kind of like that they did enough to make the doctor like, where that was a hesitation that they had. Like, I ultimately always believe the doctor will do right, but for a minute I was like, I don't know. Especially when they were like, yeah,
I know. I really was like, I definitely was like, oh, a pocket watch. I was like, oh no, not this pocket watch. Like, it really went from that to that. Because I was like, there's gonna be some sort of, if not deal, at least a slip up. But I was pleasantly surprised, and we'll get there. We see 1987 England. The Grand Serpent is still slithering. I don't have any notes. Just, he's still out here. Whatever. Don't like him. He sucks. He's killing people. You know. Just slithering through time. The slow way. Then we see the gang on the ship, and Joseph Williamson, the Mad Mole, shows up on a ship. And all of our theories, and our collectively as the fandom, are coming to fruition, because clearly it is as we thought. The tunnels are through time and space. The Flux has thrown things into flux. And
it fluxed it up, to be honest.
Yeah, they definitely fluxed it up. And so he leaves, but like Dan knows who he is, and he's like, oh, well, shoot, we got to go to Liverpool. And they have this, I don't know, maybe this is significant to like British people, but Yaz is like, you're from Liverpool? And I'm like, don't y'all know from like accents? Isn't that a thing?
I was like, he was like something because I'm a fellow Scouser, or whatever he said. And then she was like, oh, you're from Liverpool. And I'm like, have he not been talking? Are y'all in the TARDIS doing extra work to make it where you don't hear this accent? Because I feel like it's very clear.
I thought you knew that, but okay, whatever.
So I thought that was
sure,
funny.
Why not?
I'm like, yeah,
but they end up in 1904 Liverpool, and this is where I just need, if we have any listeners or people who follow us on Twitter, please do the math, because I'm like, they are sure traveling a whole lot in one single year pre-airplane.
Yeah, I was
literally all over the world.
I really was like, and the fact that they kept, like, they would tell us the year. Like, you could have not told us the year, or like just moved to the year up, because this just seems unless it was January 1st to December 31st. Right. Like, this is a very slim chance all this traveling is happening in one singular year. They've literally been all over the world. Mexico, like every hemisphere. Yeah, Mexico, like now Liverpool. They went to China. They went to Constantinople. They went to Nepal.
Yeah, like, this is not how travel works in 1904.
I just felt like I was really, again, at this point in the story, they're like, if they rocking with us at this point, we can just let it rip, let it happen.
Yeah, I'm willing to. I was like, okay, it's fine, I get it. They're just trying to tell the story, but I'm like, y'all could have chosen a different year. And I just personally, for my own curiosity, would love to have somebody do the math who knows about this stuff to figure out, like, is this in what
feasible?
is it feasible? And if it were, what would it have to be? Because I am intrigued.
Right.
So yeah, they're in 1904 Liverpool because they realize what's happening. They're like, okay, well then we can go to his tunnels. And they do. There's kind of like they meet somebody and the person's like, no, people be seeing his ghost down there. Don't go down there. And they're like, they know what's up. He's down there. So they go. He is relieved that they're there, like, and they know what he's been going through. He has so much to show them because he's been doing this, trying to save the world from the inevitable disaster. And I'm like, Joseph, you don't have to do all that by yourself.
I think that was it, though. I think he was trying to get people on board, but it was like in his mind, it was so like it was happening so fast that he didn't have time to walk people through it, and they all was like, "Bro, what are you talking about?" So he couldn't really get people on board. So by the time he get Yaz and them walk in, they just like, yeah, we hear about the end of the world. He was like, oh my God, y'all, thank you. Like, he literally was so relieved that somebody
finally,
right. He didn't have to tell them. They told him. That was the key for this. Because, like, at this point, he done ran into everybody in different places. So, like, but he's been doing this seemingly for indefinite, like, for a long time, where it's like, he's not registering, like, oh, I met this person, because he didn't met apparently so many people through time and space that, like, it is not registering. But as soon as Jazz was like, yeah, the end of the world, he was like, oh my goodness, finally somebody who's about that life. And so I love that because, again, like, I'm tired. I'm not about to play with y'all. Like, I'm tired of repeating myself. I'm tired of people thinking I'm crazy. I'm just do it myself. And then people coming to me and like, oh, in the world, they're like, he like, look, see, I knew somebody would know. So I loved how that like whole introduction worked. He was so relieved, like, oh, I don't have to do my little spiel. They came to the tunnel. I didn't have to bring them to the tunnels. Like, I think he was just like so used to people just rejecting the premise in every way that it's like, I'm just doing it myself. Which I get that. You just like, I'll do it myself. I'm not about to keep trying to convince y'all. Yeah.
So that is very cool. Excited to see how that pans out. And then we reach the $1 million question back at the division. How many people has the doctor been? Like, hello? She's asking the questions. It's like dozens, hundreds, thousands. That's what I would like to know. We don't get the answer, but please, I would like to know.
I would love to know.
I would love to know, but we did not get the answer. So more shenanigans there. And then the next part that I was so stoked about in this episode, we get to 2017 London. Okay. At first, I'm like, ugh, not more Grand Serpent, because every time he's on screen, I just hate him. But Kate is here. And she's so smart. Like, so Kate Stewart, if y'all don't remember, like, if y'all don't remember, back in, what season was that? Was that Donna's season or
no? She's from like the Clara era.
No. But like, okay, well, we'll get there. But basically, Kate is like, I see you, because I guess the Grand Serpent is like shutting down unit. I'm unclear of what his position is, like how he's
infiltrated unit so that he can use their anti-alien whatever to his advantage when the time came for aliens to come. It basically just shut down all the defenses because unit is basically in charge of all the defenses.
Yeah. Well, so basically they're having a conversation. He's like, I'm shutting it down. And then she's like, I see you. And like, she's done her research. She realizes like, I don't know who you are, what you are, where you're from, when you're from. However, I do know you've been here for a long time doing things in the shadows, basically. And she came prepared. She's like, I don't know how you've been killing these people, but let me tell you, I came prepared. You ain't gonna get me. I ain't the one.
She had her psychic PP, what's it called?
I don't know. She took
protective equipment. She was
so that however he was suffocating the mother people, it wouldn't happen to her. PPE. And so he keeps trying to stop her, and he's like, you must be tired, Kate. You really need to calm down, Kate. And you must be tired. I was like, I love this flip. I love the flip. Because you'll remember, Tin was on some misogynist bullshit real quick.
Yeah, I was like, he literally, I wrote Harry Jones. I was like, I was just like, he just tried to Harry Jones, my good sis Kate. Nah, not today.
And I just love the flip of giving that sort of line to a villain, because that should have never come out the Doctor's mouth, but here we are.
Right.
So I was loving it. And I like it, and it was more that it was like, you must be tired, Kate. You really need to calm down, Kate. Like all these things that feminine presenting people hear all the time, like when they're trying to like take a stand, they're just like painted as hysterical or emotional, and he's doing it on purpose, right? Like not even just like being secretly misogynist, he's doing it on purpose. But I just love the lines that they chose, even like really just a very solid nod to what I think they're acknowledging was a mistake within like writing as far as the Doctor's character, because the Doctor really never would have said that in the first place. So I loved it. Especially because Tin is my doctor, so I've always hated that like line in that part, so I felt vindicated.
Yeah.
We go back to 2021, and the pupper is like gonna board Belle's ship, basically, to like, because as far as he's concerned, like, you stole this ship, you're intruding, I'm gonna capture you, basically. And so they kind of have like a little show off. They're doing that like hat against the wall, shoot, hat against the wall. And then he's like, come out, you coward. And Belle refuses to be called a coward. She comes out. Both of them do. Guns pointed. I was like, I love these type of characters. I love Belle. I'm just obsessed. But then something's happening to their ship, which we're like, we already knew they were in trouble. If you saw the preview from last week, because we knew something was going to happen to these ships, and like the thing would be breached, the shield would be breached. So alas, it is that time of the show. We go back to 1904 underground. Joseph is showing them the doorways, which, as we all expected, go to different, he doesn't seem to quite understand it, but we know it's going to different times and places. And that the flux, it was already happening, but the flux threw it out of whack. So now some of these doorways are not going where they're supposed to go. Never go behind door, I think, number 9. There's only death there, so noted.
Yes. So I believe the tunnels are going to, like, not just different times and places, like on Earth, like literally all across the entire universe. So like, in a way, he was walking, like, seeing the destruction of the flux happening. Like, some doors, like, literally, they're like, oh, this used to be a city, and now this is, like, cinders. It's like, I like the idea of, like, him having kind of his own personal, I guess, view of that destruction, but, like, through those doorways. But also, like, the implication that he had actually mapped a lot of the doorways, that he knew, not necessarily knew, because he didn't know, like, he didn't have the context of, like, oh, this is space, but, like, I like the idea that he knew that this door led to this place has grass, or this, you know what I mean? Like, I like the idea that he actually had a good understanding of the map or the pathways through the tunnels, and that the flux messed it up, and so he's like frantic, not because of like, oh, this is happening. He's frantic because like, oh damn, how am I save people?
They're all messed up.
Right, like how am I save people if like all of the places that I had scoped out as being safe for people to take refuge in are now gone, and all these doors don't lead to the places that I plan for. It's like his whole plan is falling apart, and I'm like, oh
yeah, he worked so hard and it's all falling apart. But I did like that, because he was painted as kind of like being a little off his rocker every time we saw him, which would make sense. You're kind of assuming like, oh, he's like popping up through space and time. Like, I too would feel like I've lost it, I guess this is it. But no, he's frazzled because his work is getting undone every time he walks through a doorway.
Exactly.
So I thought that was very clever. He clearly has his stuff together and knows what he's doing, so loved it. And then we come to the climax of the episode. We like, well, just about. The Doctor is being given the ultimatum that we predicted, and we're like, oh no, this damn pocket watch is gonna really mess us up. Rejoin division and learn who you are, or I'm gonna destroy everything, basically. So join me, and everything we find, and you'll get to know, or you won't. The Doctor refuses, though, which, thank gosh, that has not been the trend this season, but thank gosh. She's like, if you knew me at all, you would know that would not work on me. So then Peptoon, who's on her bullshit, ups the ante a little bit, and she's like, what if I spare Earth?
Right, that's why I was like, again, okay. getting warm. You're getting warmer. Like I feel like
right.
I feel like had the conversation
started there.
You know, like we had a chance to fully flesh out the conversation. I think
and there might have
got to a place.
A deal.
Yeah,
right. Because that's exactly what would work on the Doctor. But we don't. But before we see why we don't, we go back to 2021. The Bella and the Pupper are working together because the Serpent has been working with them taters. And I just had to remember that it's all because of that a-hole from the Crimean War. Because the taters, they literally say, like, we're here for revenge. And I'm like, gosh dang it. Like, I still got to deal with these dang Centaurans because of you. If I could go back in time and dislike that guy more, I would. Because I did not know that we would. I mean, I knew eventually they'd...
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm actually glad that we got, like, a fairly quick consequence.
Not the finale. Like,
but, like, why? I was just mad that the consequence had to be these potatoes. Like
the potatoes as the finale too, like not just one of the episodes of the season they come back, like they're the ones that break through the Lumpari like shield. Why?
Like why?
I just really don't like them. I'm so sorry. I don't think they're very good villains. I don't like looking at them.
I think that's the point too, like making them more like bringing their like making them more like serious or making them more like formidable, which is like I get it. Because y'all have so much history, like you want to just... But no, I don't want to see them. I'm tired of it.
Like, they're not that formidable to me. Like, because I know too much. Like, I know too much of them being, like, slapstick, kind of goofy. And then there was that one that was, like, a butler, and I can't remember his name. I never can, but... and he was, like... Yeah, and he was fine. And so it's hard for me to, like, then get on board with, these are one of your big bads. I'm like, are they?
It's like it only works because so much is happening that we don't have time to just
right, exactly,
get you out of here. Like you are literally just taking advantage of the fact that there are bigger things going on because like literally otherwise this is light work. We would be done with you.
Right.
But because we are having a bigger crisis, you get to take advantage of the fact that our attention is diverted. And like I don't appreciate it.
I don't either. So yeah, we're gonna have to deal with them. They're like entering everywhere and so it's bad and whatever. And then we get back to the division. I'm just still like nursing my disappointment that it's the Centaurans that we're gonna have to be dealing with next episode, and the Ravagers show up at the division, and so I'm like, ooh, this just got a lot better because I love them as villains. And I hate to say it, but Tech didn't get that work. So
I mean, look, because here's the thing: sometimes the way that she's talking to the Doctor is also like the implication is that she's also has some level of that with them. She's like, oh, they got released because of you. Like I feel like they maybe don't know that. I don't know if they know that or not, or what their relationship is. But I'm like, she really is the cause of it, and like, unfortunately, you reap what you sow, and you're gonna. Well,
it definitely seems. The issue is what I've gathered is our glam foogs. They are representing time, and the division is all about controlling time, which essentially is to go against time, which seems antithetical because we know Time Lords are time. It's in the name Time Lords, but that's what I'm gathering. And so I don't know. I really don't understand their relationship exactly either.
Right. Because I feel like the implication is that Tectanium actively was a part of them being released and being able to get out, like of the prison or whatever. I don't know how, but it's like, she's like, it feels to me like this is all a plan. Like, I don't know. I mean, this part isn't. Like, she's like, wait, how y'all get over here? Like, she felt very confident that she was inaccessible to those people, but she definitely didn't seem surprised by them. So I'm like, she clearly knows.
I think it's because somehow they're like they got beef with her for sure,
right?
And so I feel like that's why she's not surprised, because she knows like, oh, I am like wanted number one. Like, I don't know if that's true, but like I think she's just really well aware that if it was ever in person and be on site. Like, she's gonna get them hands from them, but thought they were taken care of. And I wonder if maybe she was hoping the Flux would take care of them. I'm not really sure.
See, that's where I'm confused. I definitely felt like the Flux and the Foods, the Glam Fooglies, were in cahoots, or like they required one another in some way. So I felt like in releasing the Flux, you definitely specifically were also like clearly letting this entity,
or were the Foogs just taking advantage of the Flux and taking control? I don't know. I'm very...
You know what? I don't know. Because I had this whole entire time really honestly been like, the Flux is clearly... Like, the Flux and the Foods are like... It's a... They are a symbiotic relationship going on. But now I'm like, I don't know. But it requires... now I'm like, wait. See... This is going to be a season where that rewards a rewatch, because I didn't have that question before, but now when we get to where they like, there's, conflict and they like meeting, because I had been operating like, oh, the Flux and the Fooglies are like two sides of the same coin. Like, they are out and free so that the Flux can also do what they need to do, and or the Flux is giving them the ability to do what they need to do. But it's like, I was always under the impression that it was an intentional thing happening at the same time, but now I'm like, wait, they might just be taking advantage of the time, energy, and all the souls they can pick up.
They keep saying, just as we planned. Like, they keep hammering this home. The Foogs do. So I'm thinking,
but like, how they plan for the Flux?
But that's what I'm saying. Somehow they knew it was going to happen.
That's why I thought Tech Taeyun was like trying to do that, but I think she did with the Master, which is like planting enough information for you to sow the destruction. I was thinking maybe with the Flux, it was like, I'm specifically...
I don't think so, because but now when they're there, she's like, oh, you're not supposed to be here. You can't be here. So, which suggests to me...
Because you don't... Yeah, if I sick a hitman on some folks, and then he pop up in my apartment, I'm like, wait, that ain't the plan. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, it don't necessarily change. She could have,
that's true,
in a part of the plot, but she just was like, oh, I didn't think they was gonna juice up enough to get, because I'm assuming that they were just like, oh, we gonna absorb enough energy to get. They knew what they were trying to do, but she didn't know what they were trying to do. But that don't necessarily mean she clearly is good at thinking she have control of a situation and then not losing control.
She do not.
The relationship with the doctor, right? So I'm like, I was thinking that she let him go, or like she did something to like to ensure that they were out in the universe to like sow the additional destruction, or to make the Flux more destructive than it was without them. So now I don't know, because these things are happening at the exact same time, and so that'll be interesting to see how much, if at all, if they get into it, like how much of the, because we know it's planned, like the Flux is planned, and they keep talking about having a plan, but like how did y'all know? Did y'all also find a hard drive with the plans? Because then the division needs to step up their game. They keep leaving their files all over the place. Like, I want to know I want to know.
Maybe this is where Sasha shows up and is like, I've been working with the Foogs, which
that would not surprise me, and I would love it. I mean, like, it would surprise me. I'd be like, oh my God, they did this. But it would not surprise me in terms of that character being like, oh, this seems like exactly the thing I would do. So I would love it. And I feel like he would absolutely match them. And like, he would definitely put on a whole, like,
oh, absolutely.
He's like, oh, we out here stunning? All right, let me put on my finance so we can be on the same level. Like,
man, what a dream. The dream team.
Right.
Evil dream team, but a dream team.
Like a nightmare team, really, but like
a nightmare team, exactly. But I would love to
glorious
see it. It won't,
right?
it won't happen, but it's a glorious vision. But who knows? Christmas might come early. We don't know. So yeah, basically, Tech Taeyun is dead. Which the doctor's upset because obviously Tech Taeyun got that knowledge, but oh well, she gone. And so now the Ravagers have. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I just call them by their proper name? Their government? Oh my gosh. Who am I? The Foogs have got the division.
They trying to catch a good old ride to another universe. So like,
they sure are.
They ready to act the fool everywhere. And you know what?
Like that
I can't knock the hustle.
Old and dusty. And
right.
Like, honestly, being a resident of this universe, I don't disagree.
I mean,
Earth alone.
Like Earth by itself is doing a lot of heavy lifting in terms of like writing checks that we gonna have to cash because
exactly
we doing a lot of damage out here in these streets, in the galactic streets.
So like I get it. I too would maybe skip over to a different universe if I had the choice. But that's where that episode ends. So, yeah, that's it. I don't think I had many as far as final thoughts outside of our rants and raves. I just really enjoyed this episode. Like, it was such a good episode.
Yes, I really, really liked it. And I really love, even just in this conversation, the thoughts that have occurred to me now. I'm like, oh, I am just enjoying that every week I have something to sit with and think about. Like, I cannot express to you how fun that is. Because
it's so like refreshing.
Like the previous season it's not that I don't enjoy those episodes in the moment, but it's just that once they went off,
once they're done,
they have left my psyche. Like I just have no, and these I'm just like, even now I'm just like, okay, now I gotta rate. Cause now, you know, like them dots. And like, I haven't had issues following the show thus far. Now I have a question like, wait, was I not paying attention somewhere? But I think that's actually intentionally just not answered yet. But I'm just loving, I'm just really just genuinely liking the fact that like every episode I have something to linger on and think about. And that's just fun. And this episode gives us like so many answers, but also gives us enough to like wonder about. And I like that balance because I love having questions that they don't have to be answered because I just like the idea of having, you know, like just having those questions means that I'm like into the story. But I do also love that we get so many answers or like because I think, I mean, for the most part I feel like we probably all had some idea like if this story is true then this is probably the scenario, right? And I mean that's pretty close, like again on site with Tech Taeyun. That's old school. Like once that we been knew it was gonna be on site. So when she said she would take Taeyun, the fact that she didn't get swung on again, I don't know. The doctor is better than us, so that's the difference. The doctor better than me for sure. So yeah, I love that we are getting a lot of information in all these episodes, but also left with enough to still feel like there's something that we should come back to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has been so long. Like the weakest episode has been the first one. And even that one, I was like, oh, it was all right. Like all of these have such high levels of rewatchability. I am so excited.
Yeah, this is going to be like my comfort season, I feel like. Unless something crazy happens.
I think so.
But I honestly feel like, because again, I'm one of those people, like, it would take so much to ruin the whole season for me. Like, even season 10, I can watch to a point and then I'll just act like the rest of it doesn't exist.
Exactly, same.
So yeah, this one is like every episode is giving something, and
so solid. And the characters, there's so many characters, and they're all so solid in of themselves. And I know this is not a season wrap up, but I'm just like, again, I want to get my hopes up because you know there's still plenty for Doctor Who. One episode is plenty of time to release a squadron.
As you see, yeah.
But you know, it's just so like the characters are solid, the story is solid. Again, feel how you will about this particular lore. I don't think you can deny that the writing is good. Like it is solidly written. The pacing is maybe a bit fast for some people, but for me is exactly where I need it to be.
Same.
I love
the pacing.
Thrilled.
It's like it literally. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get burnt out like in the third episode if they keep at this pace, and I'm like, no, because I'm actually just catching up to the pace. Whereas like, I'm just like, oh, okay, well, and again, that's like I love watching an episode and having to watch an episode, and I think that's another thing that I've realized that the series is doing that I've missed for Doctor Who, which is like I have to be watching the episode. Like I literally have picked up my phone and sent a text or something. And then, like, with this season, I do that. I like, wait, shit, now I gotta pause. Like, now I gotta go back because I missed something. Whereas, like, in previous, like, it's fine. And, like, you don't really feel like you missed anything. Like, you feel like you can just continue on. And so that's another thing that I'm loving, that these episodes have so much happening that you kind of don't want to turn away from them. Like, I have to pause it to do, even if I'm just replying to somebody, I'm like, let me pause this first so I can really focus on this episode. But let me just knock this little reply out and then I'm gonna and I don't do that. I multitask to a like unhealthy level. So like the fact that I'm like, let me pause.
Same.
To do this thing.
Nick and I are very much the same in that way. Like, I always have stuff on the background, and Doctor Who in recent seasons had gotten relegated to a background situation. There's like not much that is not background, but it used to be like a Doctor Who I would sit down and watch like it was an event, and then it got relegated to like I'll throw it on in the background so I can say I watched it. But yeah, no, this season I have regularly been devotedly watching it. So when I say, like, maybe y'all think, like, oh, we watch multiple times to take notes. Like, I only have to watch the one time because I am only watching Doctor Who. I'm not on Discord or texting nobody. Like, it is, and not even, like, pressed about it. Like, it has wrapped my attention. That's the thing.
Like, I literally be in it, and then I'm like, the only time I'm really get taken out of it when I'm trying to figure, I'm like, wait, we only got 10 minutes left. They not gonna, no, they ain't gonna do that. They're not gonna do that. Like, I have to take a minute to see where we are. Like, are we 30 minutes in? No, they might. Like, literally just like pausing to see. Like, they're doing a lot. Let's see if, let me get prepared for what's coming. Like, actively watching is like, I'm so excited to want to actively watch and to not feel pulled away from other stuff. Because again, I am also like, and I can retain stuff that I watch in the background, but not as much. Like, I retain the finer, like the broader strokes of whatever's happening. But in this, I'm just like, I have to pause. I be hitting that little rewind real quick. I be like, let me read these captions because I know I didn't hear what I heard. So I'm loving that the way I'm being engaged, and the way that I'm being like pulled into the show, and even like, again, we have nitpicks, we have things that are like, we have criticisms, but I think everything, like, there's nothing perfect in this world, but what the difference is like, are you doing enough to balance the criticism? Like, are you doing enough to like make sure that I'm still having a good time even when you mess up? Because that's the problem. It's like, when it's like, oh, like, if I can criticize and can't really think of anything that make that experience worthwhile, that's the problem. This one is like, oh, I didn't like that, but boop, 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 this happened, that was happening. And I think that's like, it's way more like, anytime, most of the stuff that pops in my head to me is stuff that's fixable, or it's just like a nitpick. It's one of those things that I know for a fact,
inconsequential.
Right. Other people are not going to have the same thought because it's one of those things that irks me specifically, versus it being like
same
really bad representation of a group of people where I'm like, oh, that's very tacky. So yeah, this episode is, I mean, because I was scared.
So far, I think
I was scared. I was like, they in the past, well, yes. And I guess, so that goes into like, I guess that kind of goes perfectly into our Ruth rants and raves. Like, so I really didn't have a strong rant, but my rant really is that I thought like, once we knew like, oh, they're gonna be stuck in 1901 or whatever. I was like, Dan, this is why he's here. Like, he's here.
It's his time to shine.
Right. Because he's here to be that buffer.
Right.
If they're stuck in the past, right? Like, he's here to be.
Ally should.
Right. This is what I thought. Now, what happened was, none of that happened. Like, Yaz is the leader of this team, and it's very visibly so, in a way where it's not like, they're not putting on a front where, like, when they're around people, she falls back. It's like, no, we are supporting this woman. And I love that. However, the rant I have is that Dan has literally is not necessary. And his only function appears to be to call the pupper. Like, just to get him on the line. Like, that, his thing is like, we need somebody who is useful, and you have their number saved. That is what Dan is. Dan is the person who remembered the number and wrote it down. And everybody else, their phones died. They don't have his number. So they're like, Dan, we need you to go ahead and dial this number. Like, that's what it is. And it's like, I really thought this episode, I was like, okay, we finally gonna get, like, this is why Dan is here. Like we go, oh, yes. Because he gonna be, like, keeping people off of Yaz. And Yaz is out here just fighting. I mean, literally fisticuffs. Like, literally choking folks out. Like, she's, protecting herself. But, I mean, I'm just saying.
Right.
Like, does not need this man in any way. Like, Jericho's, I think, semi-useful because, like,
well, he's like got that intellectual side. Like, he's the brains of the operation.
Right, like he
if I had to judge the group.
But even that, like, he has such a specific skill set that it's like, if they're not doing that, which, again, when they're doing all their archaeology and they tomb raiding and all that, she seems to still be the person making all the plans. Like, I don't know. They are not necessary.
He's the brains as far as, like, we need to know history. And he's like, right. Luckily for you, that's
like, he actually has the academic know-how to, like, know where to look and stuff. But literally, Dan has, so my rant, I guess it's not a rant, but it's a rant because, like, we could just not have Dan, which would be fine to have one less, like, white male character. But I don't hate Dan, and he's a really good comic relief. So I will say that if you like Dan, I'm not against liking Dan. I actually think
I'm not against liking Dan.
Yeah, it's like we don't need him. I'm
looking forward to seeing him in future seasons where he has more purpose. But like in this particular season, did we need him?
Increasingly, no. But maybe, like I say every week, maybe next week he will be his existence may be justified. But at this point, I don't.
We do see. I will say, like, I want to give him his things where they're deserved. We do see that scene. We kind of touched on it, like when I was lost in the thousand of it all. But he's like talking to Yaz and cheering up, like, "We'll find her," and like I thought that was touching. No, so like his character is good.
That's what I'm saying.
His purpose in the plot is not
right. It's one of those situations where it's like, and I can maybe there was the time constraint. I don't know. Like this is the kind of character you want to introduce and have around to kind of, especially when the doctor's on their bullshit, which the doctor gets on, and like we have that character that's just like keeping everybody, in a good place. However, in this story, it is beside the point. Like he is not bringing the energy that we need in this moment and not really contributing to what we're doing. But like he's not like, I'm glad he's not bad. Like not bad, but like boring or like he's funny. Like they're like, he gonna be on screen, we're gonna give him a cute little line. I'm fine with that. Like, and I actually like that he's not taking away from Yaz in terms of storyline. So it's one of those things. That's why I say it's not even a real rant other than like, we could have not cast him, but like that ship has sailed a long time ago. So if you're gonna have him here, right. I do want to like remark on the fact that it has not been necessary this whole time. But like it's fine. At least he's not like, I actually don't mind seeing. Like I enjoy his interactions with the characters that I actually am invested in though. But Diane out there, now she about to have a gun on her person because I think Bender gonna let her hold one.
Ooh.
So. I feel like that is going to right. I'm gonna say I feel like that will be what makes like Dan is there to bring us to the real OG, the real shooter, right. And that's what I will accept that like him being the bridge to like us getting to see Diane throw hands or whatever needs to happen over there to hit the get the strap. I'm with it.
I'm with it too. My rant is also just kind of like minor. I already said it. I'm disgusted by the Grand Serpent. He's given me racist energy and also Orochimaru energy. My two least favorite energies. Unfortunately though, that also flips over into my rave. So my rant is simple, but my rave is also unfortunately about this Grand Serpent. But I already said it, so I won't linger on it, but I just love flipping that line of like, oh, you must be tired. Giving it to a villain, I love it. I love the commentary that brings. I love narratively what that does, and it just really marks to me, besides all the other stuff we've done, but like just another reminder, like this is a new era of Who, and I appreciate that.
Yep. And my rave is literally Yaz, and we've said it throughout the episode, so I won't harp on it, but Yaz being so herself, like fully herself and being fully realized this season, loving it, and she's killing it. Mandip is killing it and looking great doing it. So it's like
look, the fits.
I definitely feel because the first like one or two, I was like, I don't know, but I'm like now I'm really feeling like I got what I needed to get for Yaz, and I hope that obviously carries over to the next episode into like the conclusion of the story in general. But I feel very. Like, I feel full with, like, what we were getting with, especially this episode. Like, I just loved it. So, that's my rave.
Speaking of looks, I just want to say, if y'all, it's probably gone now, but on Mandip's, Instagram, like, she shared, like, some of her different, like, hair looks for this, like, throughout Doctor Who, but, like, just the serve that some of these looks are. But if you missed it on Instagram, which you will have by the time you listen to this episode, you can see it on our friends over at the Queer Archive. They posted it on their Twitter. And I just speaking of looks and Yasmin, I just thought we should note. So time for quotes from the TARDIS. My quote I kind of touched on, but speaking of Yaz, being the baddie that she is, my quote is, there's no use being squeamish. We've got the future to save. And that's from Yasmin motherfucking Khan. Okay? Because they were like, you talking about like hiding a dead body, like, and you ain't even flinching. And she's like, we got the future to save. Like, catch up.
Right.
These men are not.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was just thinking. Like, I'm like, y'all are literally, and I love that. I love that. It's like sometimes we don't, like, you are not needed. But I appreciate you for being here, but you are not required necessarily. So yeah, love that. And my quote is, because I am apparently I am aligning with the villains a lot this here season. But my quote is,
it happens.
They're your experiment, just as you were mine. Which is what Tecteun said to the doctor, like talking about the companions that, that they bring along. And I'm just like, first and foremost, that might be a valid read. I'm gonna say there is a validity to it. However, I think the spirit of the situation is quite different. But you didn't have to say that. But I did like it as a read, because I'm like, my favorite thing is also like is when the doctor gets read in a way that is truthful. Like, I feel like Tecteun was like doing too much throughout the episode. So by that, like, I'm like, now look, calm down. But it stood out because it was, it was valid. But I don't know. I just like seeing that kind of, like, you did pick up a few. You might have picked up a few, not great things for me. But ultimately, we know the doctor is not anything like Tecteun, because Tecteun is insane, like insanely evil, like it mean, like catty, like all these bad things. I don't know. I'm like, whoa. But yeah, I love that, even though it's a true but also like nuanced point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that take. I was like, I mean, reads only hurt if they're a little bit true. So
right. They gotta have some truth.
They gotta have some truth. So that's it for us coming at you from the Tarbis today. But this is fun. I'm so excited for next week. So y'all like will be re-recording before we know it, and I want to fast forward to that time, which is just so I'm in such a different place than when we started this season. I am shocked, frankly, by how excited I am for the next episode.
No, I'm the same. I'm just like, yes, like I'm so happy to be excited.
Right. But until then, you know where to find us. But if you don't, you can check us out at blackgirlscreate.org. That's where everything we're doing is at. We're already planning some exciting stuff for 2022. So get over there, get on it. If you want to chat with us or just see what we're doing on the day-to-day, you can follow us on Twitter at blackgirlscreate. That is at BLKgirlscreate. I'm at Delia is typing, and Nicole is at queer specimen. Tweet at us using the hashtag Tarbis. Do you have theories? Do you have questions? Because I know we have lots. And of course, also rate us and review us on iTunes or wherever you be listening. It really helps us algorithmically, and also it's just nice. We like to hear from y'all. And you can also become a Patronus. We've been told you, but I did mention Naruto today. So we have a limited podcast series that's coming to an end also over on Patreon at the $15 per month tier, but we do nerdy deep dives, and we're currently doing Naruto. We've also done Lord of the Rings and others, but we're currently doing Naruto. And yeah, just get on it if that's where you're at. I really just need to shout about how much I hate Orochimaru more. And I have already, but we go listen to it, shout at me with me. So yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
We'll be back next week for the last and final episode of this season. The final chapter, The Vanquishers. Bye.
Later.